It's Jim Czek with Kelowna Now. I'm here with your Need to Know. I have with me on the phone Ian Burns, our managing editor, and we're going to go through today's, top stories, the things that matter to you. The big one, the BC NDP have the majority they were looking for. So they pledged to deliver for the people, though, according to David Eby. Any thoughts on that, Ian?
It's still a little bit provisional because they're going to be those judicial recounts in Kelowna Centre, Surrey Guildford. Quite an achievement from Loyal Wooldridge there.
Yeah, because how many seats is Loyal short now?
Votes, I think it's 38.
Yeah,
35 or 38.
Very tight, right? So they have 47 seats in the 93 seat legislature. They do have to name a speaker, though. They said it sounds like they're going to pick a speaker out of their own group, though. So that should make things interesting as well, right? So the parties will have to work with each other to really pass any legislation if that's the case.
Yeah, well, I hope Eby's going to tell us a bit more about it when he speaks soon. That's probably what it's going to be about, how he's actually going to make this work. He's
speaking in the next half hour.
That's right.
Saskatchewan, Scott Moe, 5th straight majority. They had projected the NDP to win that race.
Yeah, I saw one was actually projected a bit of a landslide for the NDP, but not to be.
Yeah, Scott Moe's a fairly popular guy, though, right? With not paying the carbon tax and all that, right? So a man of the people, some say.
Yeah, but it's actually quite similar to the story in BC. There's a very stark rural-urban divide, isn't there, in Saskatchewan? So the cities tend to go NDP, and then everybody else goes for Big Scott.
So the leader of the Bloc Quebecois has given the Liberals, basically he's going to give them their walking papers. That's according to him anyway, right? We've got a little tweet that you put together on Kelowna Now for he's basically read the riot act to the Liberals. They didn't meet the deadline. Let's play that video.
Our party position is exactly what we said 5 weeks ago. The government was invited to pass into laws two bills that came from the Bloc Quebecois, but were approved and supported by all parties in the Parliament. They had until October 29th, which is today, to deliver that, which they did not do. We said 5 weeks ago that if we were not received that, if 4 million of Canadians between 65 and 74 years old were not received what we asked, if producer under supply management regime were not to get what we asked, we were to start discussing with opposition parties in order to have this government fall. And this is exactly what we are starting to do as of now.
Are you open to another conversation? If the government comes to you today, tomorrow, even the day after, are you open to a conversation to keep that going if you get what you want?
Have they come to us yesterday or the day before? No, we haven't got what we wanted. If before they fall, they give us all we have asked under the terms that we have described, we don't have a choice but to take it. But we are not negotiating anything as we speak. We are negotiating with opposition parties in order to have the government be.
So that will mean your support as well. If they give you what you ask for, even if it's after this date, does that mean they regain your support?
Let's say that if they give us exactly all we have asked for before they fall, because if there's a vote tomorrow, they might fall tomorrow. We will look into it and we will be coherent with all what we have said so far. We want precisely what is in Bill 3. C319 and in Bill C282. Bring that to us and we'll discuss. But in the meantime, they are seriously in danger to fall.
There you go. He's still saying the door's open. He's just basically putting a gun to his head and saying, you either give me what we want or we will make sure that this falls. So you and I talked a little bit before this. If a vote comes, I think they need about 7 or 8 NDP or Liberal MPs to vote with the Bloc and the Conservative Party to bring down the government.
Yep. Well, it's something like it's about 10 or under, isn't it?
Yeah,
It's a
something like
very,
9 or
very
10,
tight.
something like that, right? But I mean,
Yeah.
there's 20 MPs that have supposedly signed a letter that maybe have had enough as well. So,
But would they sign their own resignation papers? Because that's effectively what it would be.
Yeah,
they would probably be defeated, wouldn't they?
bringing down their own party. That's kind of an odd one.
Yeah.
And here's something odd. It was in 5 things as well. The Parti Quebecois for the provincial party says they don't want any more foreign temporary workers. They'd rather have robots. That's interesting.
I wonder what Pete Diamandis would think of that, because he kind of sketched out a vision of how that might be possible.
Yeah, so I mean, it sounds like they're going to do their own mass deportation into the other provinces.
Yep, probably Ontario or over to
just
BC.
like we'll rather have robots than have people coming into Quebec. Interesting
Could be the
times.
future.
Interesting times indeed. Jeff Bezos in the news, big time. Jeff Bezos didn't allow his editorial board, I think 5 of them quit because of it, didn't allow their editorial board to do a endorsement of Kamala Harris. And he said they will no longer be doing endorsements for any presidential candidates because his reasoning is that there's such a lack of distrust in media now that he said that, they've kind of done their own thing and he doesn't want to be part of it anymore. He wants to start building trust back in media. So he won't be doing any more endorsements. Any thoughts on that?
Yeah, well, in his little op-ed that he wrote in the Washington Post, he said that they're now less popular than Congress in the US. And obviously Congress is absolutely despised in the United States. It's a very similar story here. But what I don't understand is how long does he expect this to take? Because the trust is just completely gone. I mean, in a country like the US, it just doesn't exist. So it's going to be, you have to rebuild it from the very bottom.
This may be part of that, to making these stands, because they're tough stands, right? Because, 5 of his editorial board walked out on it, and then supposedly a lot of the employees too. So, I mean, at some point, the news used to be about, telling the story and letting people decide, but, it seems to have gotten into a place where they want to tell you what to think, right? So,
well, in the US, yeah, and they think of reasons to justify themselves, don't they? But they end up lecturing people, I think, in a lot of cases, and it obviously doesn't work. It's not a good business model anyway, put it that way.
Coming back home, the first of 6 units begin generating power at BC Site C Dam. And you were saying that this is 54 years in the making, right? That this is a thing that Christy Clark actually put into play, though, in 2015. The Liberal government put that into motion, but it was like doing all the permitting and environmental stuff. This started like 54 years ago.
Well, the planning,
43 years ago, but 54 years before it's all done, I guess, right?
Yeah, that's when they started to actually plan it. It's interesting because today, nationally, there's a story in the CBC that they're going to build a high-speed railway between Quebec City and Toronto. And I just think, you look at things like that, like this dam. I mean, how long is it going to take to build a very long railway? I mean, I would imagine decades again.
Yeah, and when you see things like the robo-taxi that was unveiled in Tesla's Investor Day, wouldn't something like that kind of like negate the need for high-speed trains and all that kind of stuff, where you have all this stuff that can move at, when you have this autonomous vehicles moving about?
You would think so, wouldn't you? Yeah, but I suppose there's also the question of cargo, isn't there? I think
for sure.
Could be that, unless Elon Musk is going to invent some sort of truck, self-driving truck or something. He
does. There's actually the Tesla semis are being built right now. They're actually going into production. So, because PepsiCo and Frito-Lay were testing them, and supposedly they're going into production now. The Site C Dam backed up to $16 billion in 2021 from, the estimates of $6.6 billion. So lots of money too for that dam. And then in Alberta, Danielle Smith is looking to pass a bill to give Albertans rights to refuse medical treatments, including vaccinations. Interesting. Moving on to Bitcoin. Bitcoin in US dollars, 71,500, new record, 71,563. And if we look at it not in US dollars, but if you look at it in Canadian dollars, 99,000, almost $100,000, and that would be a record in Canadian dollars, right? Crazy. In US dollars, I think it's closer to 72. We're banging on the door of a record in the US, but in Canadian dollars, and that's because the Canadian dollar is slipping, of course. So 99,390 for one Bitcoin. Pretty impressive for those that own it, I guess, right? And then looking at gold again, and in Canadian dollars, another breaking a record, $3,800 in Canadian dollars and $2,767 in US dollars. So Bitcoin soaring, the US dollar soaring. Oh, sorry, not the US dollar. Bitcoin and gold soaring, right? What does that say about the economies?
Well, what does that say about the stability of the world, I suppose, as well?
And then you've got your little ones ready, you got the costumes ready. Halloween is Thursday, isn't it? Halloween's on Thursday. Are you dressing up?
I've been instructed to do that by my wife, but I'm not sure that
You've been told?
acquiesce.
So what's your outfit?
I don't know. That's the thing. I mean, I think I might refuse because it's just a bit too old for that now.
So are you taking them out in the neighborhood, or where are you taking the little ones?
Yeah, that's the idea. Just knock on a few doors.
Are you in a neighborhood
accustomed to begging?
Are you in a neighborhood where you're expected to hand out candies as well, or?
Yeah, certainly. I'll have to hand some out.
There you go. You've got you're touring the kids, plus you're handing out the candies, and your wife's she's writing the list of what you're supposed to do, right?
Yeah, something like that.
She's in charge. She's in charge of the list, right? You're in charge of the doing. There you go.
Yeah.
And then here's even a scarier day for everybody on November 5th, coming up right away. Super Tuesday in the United States, the big day, the election day. The rhetoric is amping up to and I thought it would get to unbelievable levels, right? And it is for sure. Everybody's pulling out all the stops, right?
Yeah, we're in the Trump's a fascist stage right now, aren't we?
Yeah, no, it's entertainment if you look at it one way, and it's scary in another way. I mean, even other countries are getting into it by putting out stuff, and it's kind of it means a big thing though, right? Because again, the United States is one of the most powerful nations in the world, both military and the U.S. dollar, and just even the economy itself, right? They have big influence over so many things, right? Including two wars that are being fought right now, right? They have big influence on those two wars.
In a way, it's kind of, I feel like you can't really blame other countries for being so fascinated by it, because it does affect their lives in such a profound way.
It'd be interesting to see, because according to Donald Trump, he has said that once he's elected, so November 6th, he said the war's over on November 6th. He said even before he hits I don't know if it's November 6th, he said even before he takes the oath of office, which doesn't happen until January, that he will end the Ukraine war.
Not sure how he'll pull that one off.
So the clock's ticking on that one, right? Because I mean, the polls look like we're going to try and get Mario Canseco on. We're going to talk about this. We'll see if we can get him on Thursday or Friday to talk about what it's looking at, because the polls look fairly even depending on which polls you look at. But the betting markets definitely are showing a landslide for Trump and Vance.
Yeah, I'm not sure why there's the disparity there, but I guess all the money is going on Trump.
It'd be interesting to see, because there's the polls that are being done by, and we'll get Mario in here because he's doing polls himself. He does work down there. So, and then there's polls being done, like there'll be CNN polls, Fox polls, and all that kind of stuff, and they seem to be, a little bit different. But I mean, it does show a tight race, but the betting markets are definitely not saying it's a tight race.
Yeah, well, I guess there's always that confusion, isn't there, between the popular vote and the
electoral
five
vote?
or six states that actually matter.
Yeah, I mean, there are those swing states where they seem to be concentrating a lot of energy. Trump was in New York at Madison Square Gardens, a really big event, and then Kamala Harris was in Texas. And I mean, that would be typically a deep red state, I guess, and then you would call New York a deep blue state.
Yeah, since I was a young lad, look at watching American politics. Though there's been talk of, this is the year that Texas goes blue. So I think deep down that's like the deepest fantasy of the Democratic Party is that they'll flip Texas, but it doesn't look like it's going to happen this year.
And an interesting one that I saw in the news, Mayor Eric Adams, because New York City is a sanctuary city, and Texas Governor Greg Abbott was shipping by flying and busing illegal immigrants into New York City, and then Adams called that a bunch of things, and he said it was terrible. But yeah, he's actually sending them back now. They're actually putting them on planes and buses and sending them back to Texas.
That is quite absurd, really, isn't it? To think that the country is degenerated.
So I guess there are lots of free travel, right?
But it's just so it's so petty, isn't it? It's such a childish way to do politics. But
it seems odd.
Unfortunately, that's where we are.
It seems odd. And then in our last thing, I don't have it there for Rommel, but we can take that slide down. Grok. I noticed this morning, Grok, you can now, that's Twitter's AI bot. You can now upload images and it evaluates images as well. So, and I just noticed I just got an update on my ChatGPT too. I haven't looked at what the update is, but AI continues to move forward, and looks like Quebec is going to bet big on that, right? But they're saying they just want robots to come work there instead of migrants. So, there you go.
But can Grok pick fruit? I wonder.
Can Grok pick fruit? You know what? Who can pick mushrooms? Though, is we had that company at the AI summit there, Forage, and they can pick mushrooms.
That's right. Yeah.
We're gonna wait for the story on Kelowna Now, where David Eby is going to speak probably in the next 15-20 minutes, and then Rustad was holding a news conference today too, wasn't he?
Yeah, I think that one might be later actually. Yeah.
So we'll hear what they have to say. I think Rustad, I did see the press communication out from him saying that he does concede the election and agree with the results. So there you go.
Yep, and his campaign manager also tweeted saying that he was at the count, I think in Surrey, one of those Surrey ridings, and he was full of compliments for Elections BC. So that is quite a positive sign, I suppose.
Yeah, we should look to get Loyal in, because Loyal, it may still go his way. There's only a few votes difference there, so we'll wait to see that recount, because there's 2 recounts to happen. So and there you can see there's our traffic report there. If you see traffic moving quite well in Kelowna on Highway 97 there, down our corridor. Or if you want to call that Harvey, whatever you want to call it. Beautiful day in the Okanagan. Anything you want to add there, Ian, or we're going to let these fine people go?
Let them go about their day.
There you go. You can subscribe to Kelowna Now. We have a newsletter that goes out every day, 365. You do that up every morning, do you not, Ian?
I do indeed, yeah.
There you go. 365, 7 days a week by 7 a.m. And then we also have a YouTube channel, which you're watching us on likely right now. And we also have an X channel and a TikTok channel. And so you can subscribe or like and follow all these different channels to kind of help us get the message out, the word out. And we always love your feedback too. Look, I'm not wearing a hat or... And what was the other thing they didn't like? The hat and the pink shirt. Well, I think I'm going to go back to the pink shirt, but anyway. But I guess you could say we're listening. How's that? We're listening.
Just like David Eby, you're listening.
There you go.
Adapt.
There you go. Well, hopefully he listens, because I mean, the province is basically cut in half, so hopefully he sees both sides of it this time around. So you can only hope.
Yeah.
Anyway, thank you for watching Kelowna Now.
We don't just report the news, we live here too. We're your neighbors, bringing you stories that matter to all of us. No government funding, no outside influence. Kelowna Now, local, independent. News you can trust.